Welcome to the continuation on the discussion of accounting for construction contracts. So we have to compare the accounting, the traditional accounting under PAS 11, the old standard, with the PFRS 15, which is the current standard used in accounting for construction contracts. So our focus now is on PFRS 15. So what is the major difference between the two? The major difference is the recognition of the contract asset and the contract liability account. Before, hindi natin ginagamit yan under the PAS 11. Ang ginagamit natin is yung account titles such as construction in progress. So under PFRS 15, the contract asset is recognized when the entity performs but its right to consideration is still conditional. Once the entity's right to consideration becomes unconditional, such as when none but the passage of time is required before payment is due, the contract asset is reclassified as a receivable. So, initially, contract asset yan, and then kapag uh, after the passage of time, before mo bayaran yan, nire-reclassify natin into a receivable account. A contract liability naman is recognized if the consideration is received or becomes due before the entity performs. Okay. So let us illustrate more of this. The percentage of completion. On January 1, ABC enters into a contract to construct a building for a customer. ABC identifies its performance obligation to be satisfied over time. ABC, gumagamit siya ng cost-to-cost method ito. Uses input based on cost. The contract price is 9 million. So, ito yung mga information related for the 3 years time. Contract cost incurred per year. So, please take note of this. This is per year. So, kung ang kukumpitin mo is cost incurred to date, i-add mo yan lahat. Billings per year. Collections on billings per year. Estimated cost to complete at each year end. So, itong billings per year, ibig sabihin lang nito, ito yung nag-send ka ng billing statement doon sa customer, yaan ang bill amount mo sa kanila. At hindi lahat ng binibill ay nako-collect. Kaya nga ang sabi dito, collections on billings per year. Ibig sabihin, 90% noong binil mo. Ganon. 90% nung 30% na binil mo for 20x2. Ganon siya. Okay, so these are the given data. So the requirement is to compute for the gross profit, revenue, and costs on the construction for the years, the journal entries, and the amounts presented in the financial statement. So let us look at how can we possibly compute for this. So for 20x1 to 20x3, the total contract price is 9 million. 9 million, 9 million, 9 million. So the cost incurred to date for 20x1 is 2.76 million. Ang estimated cost to complete based on the given data is 4.14 million. For 20x2, 6.3 million, estimated cost to complete 700,000, and then for 20x3, 6.8 million, wala nang estimated cost to complete kasi nga at the end of 20x3, mako-complete yung construction contract. Therefore, ang estimated total contract cost, ano ang formula ng estimated total contract cost? The cost incurred to date plus the estimated cost to complete. Yung estimated cost to complete, it varies yearly. Kasi po pwedeng yung reasonable estimates nung 20x1 nagbago ng 20x2. Kaya nagbabago yung cost to complete na data. So therefore, ang estimated total contract cost for 20x1 is 6.9, 20x2 7 million, 20x3 6.8. So we can now compute for the gross profit. Paano computein? The contract price minus the total contract cost. So 9 million minus 6.9 is 2.1 million. 9 million minus 7 million is 2 million. And the 9 million minus 6.8 is 2.2 million. Then you have to multiply it with the percentage of completion. Diba? Ganon sa cost-to-cost method. How do we compute for the percentage of completion? The cost incurred to date divided by the estimated total contract cost. So, alin yun dito? Yung item A at item B. So, 40% for 20x1, 90% 20x2, and then 100% for 20x3. So, gross profit earned to date mo, 840, 1.8, and 2.2 for the years, respectively. Kung ang tinatanong sa iyo is the gross profit earned to date, ito na po yung figure. Ibig sabihin, kapag earned to date, for example, for 20x2, 1.8, yan yung gross profit mo for 20x1 and 20x2. Pero if the tenor of the question in your sheets or in your problems are the gross profit for the year only, you have to deduct yung prior period gross profit. So, in this case, halimbawa, itong 20x to 1.8 minus 840 para lang ma-separate mo yung for that year, 960. And then, pag 20x3 ka naman, 2.2 minus, alin ang ima-minus mo? Ang i-minus mo na is yung 1.8 na para total na siya kaagad nung 2 years. 2.2 minus 1.8 is 400,000. So this is your answer. This is how we compute gross profit. Paano naman kapag revenue ang kukumputin mo? Kapag, if you will look at this, yung percentage of completion, minumultiply mo siya doon sa expected gross profit for a particular year. Kung revenue ang tinatanong, i-multiply mo na lang siya kaagad doon sa kanyang contract price. Tapos, diyan ka mag-less ng mga revenue recognized. So, it is easier to compute revenues compared to profits. Okay, tingnan mong mabuti. Di ba ang total contract price lang naman ng lahat ng yan ay 9 million for the entire year? Multiply with the completion, percentage of completion, 40, 90, and 100. So, revenue to date, kung ang tinatanong revenue to date, 3.6, 8.1, and 9 million. Ibig sabihin nung halimbawa, 8.1, this is the revenue for the cumulative year 20x1 and 20x2. Kung ang tinatanong is revenue for a particular year only, halimbawa revenue, in the CPA board exam, mas tinatanong yung mga nasa gitnang year. For example, in this case, baka ang tanongin dyan is the revenue for 20x2. Kasi nga, dyan itetest yung basic knowledge mo kung paano mo ina-analyze itong mga revenues on construction contracts. So, 8.1 million ang revenue to date, minus mo lang yung prior, parang ganun sa gross profit kanina. So, 3.6. So, ibig sabihin, 4.5 million ang revenue for 20x2 only. Pero kung ang tinatanong is revenue to date, 8.1 ang isasagot mo. Okay? So, kung 20x3 naman ang tinatanong, 9 million minus 8.1 ka na lang agad. 8.1 na ang gamitin mong revenue in prior years kasi yung 8.1 reflective na yan ng 20x1 and 20x2. Therefore, 20x3 revenue is 900,000. Okay. So, ito na yung revenue for the year. Kung gusto mong i-check, you can also check this. Cost of construction, i-plot mo lang dyan. 2.76, 3.54, and 500,000. Okay? So, saan po nakuha yung amounts na yan? Ito po yung per year niya, no? Per year. Kasi nga, per year na ang orientation ng revenue. So, per year mo lang yung cost of construction para makuha mo yung gross profit for the year. It should be equal to what you have computed earlier. Okay? Next, requirement B is to provide the journal entry. So, for 20x1, our focus, ikaw, when you are looking at the scenarios, please, compare and contrast yung traditional accounting and PFRS 15. But my focus now is PFRS 15 kasi baka pag dinidiscuss ko pa siya traditional accounting PFRS 15, baka magkaroon pa ng confusion. So, our focus now is on PFRS 15. So, when you incur a cost, you debit contract cost, 2.76 million, and then credit cash or any other accounts related to that. Pwede kasing liability account yan. For billing, halimbawa magbibill ka na ng customer, you debit receivable and then credit contract liability 4.5 million. Bakit 4.5 million? Kasi 9 for 20x1 kasi 'di ba ang sabi 30% yung ibibill. 'Di ba? Patatandaan mo sa ating illustration, ang sabi dito 30%. Billing for 20x1 is 30%. So 9 million times 30% is 4. Hindi, 50% yun. 50% pala. This is 50%. Medyo malabo kasi. 50%. So, 4.5 million. When you collect it, you debit cash and then credit receivable, 4.05 million. Bakit 4.05? Kasi ang sabi ay 90% lang yung makokollect doon sa binil. So, 90% noong 90% noong 4.5 million is 4.05 million. Sir, bakit 90% lang? Parang may naka-indicate yata dito. The collections on billings in 20X1 are net of 10% retention. So, may nire-retain. Hindi lahat daw ay uh, nako-collect. Ano yung retention na yun? Retention is amount withheld by the contractee, yung customer mo, payable to the contractor at the end of the contract when the project is completed and accepted. So, normally sa mga construction contract, merong retention fund na naka-indicate dyan. Ibig sabihin, kung magbibill ka, hindi mo lahat makukuha yung total na binil mo. Kasi, yung retention fund na yon, it serves as a partial security for you to accomplish the satisfactorily yung construction project. Kasi kung babayaran, this is an additional security on the part of the contractee para meron pa rin siyang habol in cases of default. So yun lang yung sinasabi diyan. So normally may ganyang mga retention fee ko, pero kung walang naka-indicate sa problem, normally yung billing and collections ay equal yung amount, okay? Revenue recognition, you debit contract liability and then credit revenue, 3.6 million. And then, you have to reclassify yung contract cost mo before kasi ina-amortize mo yan on a yearly basis. So, gagamitan natin ng cost of construction account. Kaya nga, debit cost of construction account, 2.76 and then credit contract cost, 2.76 million. Okay, for 20x2, same lang ang procedure na ginawa mo dun sa 20x1, same with 20x2. Debit contract cost, 3.54 million. Credit cash, 3.54 million. For the recognition of the receivable, debit receivable, credit contract liability, 2.7 million. And then when you collect this, debit cash, credit receivable, 2.43 million. So, mapapansin mo, ang sinusunod niya dyan yung 90% and then 30%. So, ito yung billings, ito yung collection. Then, debit contract liability, credit revenue to 4.5 million and then i-reclassify mo uli. Debit cost of construction, credit contract cost, 3.54 million. Kaya tayo nagre-reclassify is because we amortize yung expenses related to the construction. Okay? Debit for 20x3, same scenario lang din yan lahat. Okay. The requirement C is the preparation of the financial statements. This is only for your reading kasi you have to focus your attention on the PFRS 15 items. Contract cost, contract liability, and receivable as opposed with the use of construction in progress and progress billings accounts under the old standard. So when we took our board exam, we use construction in progress and progress billings. So, ganito pa yung nasa board exam. Before, yung paggamit ng construction in progress and progress billings. So, ngayon, under PFRS 15, contract cost, contract liability, and receivable na. Under several instances, actually ngayon, parang sa government, ginagamit pa rin itong construction in progress accounts. I think the Commission on Audit is on its transition into using the more appropriate item as mandated under PFRS 15. Kasi ito na yung minamandate nila. They are essentially the same but binago lang yung account titles for easy reference. Kasi itong construction in progress and progress billings, these are jargons for non-accountant users of financial statements. Kaya ganun. Okay, let's proceed on the next items. we have to look, we are done with the input method. Let us proceed with the output method. So, di ba, we account for the construction contracts under the input and output method. In the CPA board exam and during the review, yung focus of attention or focus of the review and the test is more of the cost to cost yung input method, yung cost to cost method. More of ganon yung kaya mapapansin mo especially if you are referring to other books, mas marami yung problems related to input method o yung cost to cost method kasi mas yaan yung itinetest during the SIPALE. But it is required for you to understand the output method kasi with the ever changing SIPALE, there's a possibility na ma-encounter mo itong output method. So what is an output method? It recognizes revenue on the basis of direct measurements of the value to the customer of the goods transferred to date relative to the remaining goods of services promised under the contract. So ang mini-measure dito is yung value noong construction project doon sa customers rather than doon sa 'di ba under the input method lahat ng na-incur na costs or inputs to the construction yun yung ina-account natin para makita natin yung percentage of completion. But under the output method, tinitingnan natin yung value ng goods or ng services doon sa final user or the customers. So, anong mga example? One, yung survey of performance completed to date. Yan yung ginagamit. Appraisal of results achieved, milestones reached, times elapsed, and units produced or units delivered. So, under the output method, it is disadvantageous on instances wherein yung output, it is not, yung output, hindi siya directly kumbaga hindi siya, when you look at the output, it does not represent the totality of the cost incurred in the construction or yung percentage of completion. So, kaya nga ang sabi dyan, the disadvantages of output methods are that the outputs used to measure progress may not be directly observable and that the information required may be very costly. So, isang disadvantage yan. Yung output is not representative of the completion percentages. So, bakit ginagamit pa itong output method? Ano naman ang advantages niyan? There are constructions wherein ang dami mong mai-incur na cost, pero some of that costs are not really adding value to the customers. Tingnan mo yung examples dyan. Example, the high-rise buildings, dams, bridges, and other structures wherein the incurrence of cost is not necessarily proportionate to the entity's progress. I think it is easier for us to understand if we illustrate a dam, a construction of a dam. Halimbawa, magko-construct ka ng dam. Pag nag-construct ka ng dam, agad-agad ba sisimentohin mo na yung mga valleys at maglalagay ka na ng irrigation and yung canal system on the dams? Di ba hindi? Kailangan pa yan ng scientific knowledge, scientific process on analyzing the valleys, the measurements. So, kailangan i-drill pa lahat yung mga valleys, yung ranges kasi baka mamaya magkaroon ng landslide dyan. So, maraming costs related to that. So, kung gagamitan mo yan ng input method under the cost-to-cost method, lahat ng cost na related to the construction of that dam, it would be very costly at yung percentage of completion mo ay matagal mo ma-accomplish yung project, matagal mo ma-recoup yung cost related to that. Kaya nga, it is proper na yung output method ang gamitin for construction of this, for the construction of this very costly construction projects. Kaya, meron tayong tinatawag na output method. Okay, let us illustrate this using illustration 1. So, information on an ongoing construction contract with a fixed price of 1 million is shown below. So, cost of construction is 500,000. The percentage completed based on a survey by a professional is 80%. So how do we compute? This is a basic output method problem. So ang contract price 1 million. Ang percentage of completion, sinabi na kaagad based on a professional or an expert. Under the input method, kinukompute mo pa yan, di ba? At the accountant is responsible in identifying the percentage of completion kasi 'di ba cost incurred divided by the total contract cost, yun ang percentage of completion mo. But under the output method, bilang accountant, you will refer to the work of an expert or a professional. Kumbaga may outside party na reference for the percentage of completion kasi sila yung mag-identify o mag-survey kung gaano na ba na kumpleto yung project. So, ang sabi dito, 80%. So, so all you have to do is to multiply the 80% percentage of completion as identified by an expert or a professional. 1 million times 80% is 800,000, your revenue to date. Revenue recognized in prior years, wala pa because this is your first year. So 800,000 minus the cost of the construction for the year, 500,000. Therefore, your gross profit is 300,000. It is easier to compute under the output method because yung percentage of completion ay hindi mo na kinocompute. Okay? So for this problem, the answer is 300,000. Illustration 2, however, what happens when there is a physical proportion of the contract work. So tingnan natin. So in 20X1, ABC was subcontracted to construct the first portion of a 94.5 kilometer 4-lane expressway. Construction started in 20X1. It was expected that the expressway will be open to the public in 3 years' time. Okay. So per house resolution, so meaning this is a government project. The total contract price for the first portion of the expressway consisting of 41 kilometers is 13 billion. ABC uses the output method based on physical proportion of contract work in estimating the stage of completion of a project. Additional info? So, binigyan ka dyan, 20x1, 20x2, cost incurred each year. So, please be mindful. This is each year. Estimated cost to complete, the number of kilometers completed during the year. Ito yung gagamitin mo. Ito yung physical proportion of the contract work. So the requirement is revenue and the cost of construction recognized as expense in 20x2. So 20x2 yung tinatanong natin. So para ma-analyze mo ito, walang binigay na percentage of completion. Pero ang binigay sa'yo yung physical proportion of the contract work. Yung physical proportion of the contract work, yan ay galing sa isang professional o na expert na nag-measure kasi hindi mo naman kayang i-estimate yan. So, ang sinasabi lang dito, the number of kilometers completed for 20x1 is 10.25. At sa 20x2 naman, 32.8. Paano na-compute yung 32.8? Remember, this is kilometers completed to date. So, 10.25 plus 22.55. Yun yung 32.8. Divided by the total kilometers to be completed. Gaano ba kahaba? Yung first portion daw ay 41 kilometers. Okay? 41 kilometers yung first portion. Ito pa lang po yung 13 billion price. Yung 94.5 kilometer, ito na yung kabuuan noong expressway. Pero ang problem is related pa lang dun sa 41 kilometers. Okay? So, dyan, makompute na ang percentage of completion, 25% and then 80% for X1 and X2 years respectively. Anong tinatanong dito? The revenue. Revenue ang tinatanong. Okay, let's take a look at the profit. Total contract price is 13 billion minus the estimated total contract cost na 10 billion. How do we compute for 10 billion? That is 2.3 cost incurred each year plus 7.7 estimated cost to complete. For 20x2, how do we compute 10.2? Diba ang estimated total contract cost is the cost incurred to date plus the estimated cost to complete. So 2.3, ito yung na-incur ng 20x1, plus 5.5 na-incur ng 20x2 plus yung estimated cost to complete ng 20x2 na ang gagamitin mo kasi nasa 20x2 ka na plus 2.4, that is 10.2 billion. So estimated total profit from construction is 3 billion for X1, 2.4 8 for X2. Multiply mo sa percentage of completion, 25 and 80%, you will get profit to date 0.75 billion and 2.24 billion. If kang kailangan mo is the profit for the year, minus mo lang yung recognized in prior year. 1.49 therefore on X2. Okay. Dito na tayo sa revenue and cost of the construction for the year. So total contract price 13 billion, multiply mo sa percentage of completion 25 and 80%. So remember, please be mindful. Laging ginagamit yung percentage of completion. So therefore, kung nagkamali ka pa lang on item number 1, yung pag-compute ng percentage of completion, apektado lahat yan. In the CPA board exam, yan ay yung mga connected problems. One comprehensive problem and then may 4 or 3 tanong related to that. So kung yung number 1 requires you to look at your percentage of completion pa lang, at namali ka na ng pag-analyze diyan, mamamali ang sagot mo on your profit and revenue for the years. So, I want you to be reminded of that. So, hindi kita tinatakot, but I want you to be careful in analyzing and the transactions. So, kailangan makita mo lang ang importante lang naman diyan sa pag-compute ng percentage of completion is yung pag-analyze mo whether the given items are cost incurred to date or cost incurred per year or for that year alone kasi may bearing yon on your computation. Okay? Okay, so your contract revenue to date for 20X1, 3.25 billion. For 20X2, 10.4. So the contract revenue for the year for 20X2 is 7.15 kasi binawas yung prior year 3.25. Cost of construction is 2.5 billion and 5.66 billion. This is an squeeze item kasi na-identify mo na yung profit for the year kanina. Okay? Okay. We have a footnote here. Unlike in the cost-to-cost method, under the output method, the cost of construction is not equal to the actual cost incurred in that period kasi nga ang ginagamit mo is output method. Please be mindful of that. So what's the answer? So problem na to, illustration number 2. The revenue and cost of construction recognized as expense in 20x2. Ang revenue for 20x2 is compute for the revenue. The revenue for this item is the answer is 7.15 billion for 20x2 and the cost of construction recognized as expense in 20x2 is 5.66 billion. Yung naka-bold na items dito kasi 20x2 lang yung tinatanong. Okay. So what if there are changes in the measurement of the progress? Ang sabi, according to we will apply past 8 yung accounting policies, okay? Changes in accounting estimates and errors, diba? If it is a change on the accounting estimate, because it is treated as one, you will account for it as prospectively. Ibig sabihin, in the future, hindi mo na babalikan yung mga dating na-compute mo na. Yun yung sinasabi dyan. So, the reasonable measures of progress. Okay, this is important. Revenue for performance obligation satisfied over time is recognized only if the progress towards the complete satisfaction of the performance obligation can be reasonably measured. If the outcome of a performance obligation cannot be reasonably measured, the revenue is recognized only to the extent of costs incurred that are expected to be recovered. This accounting is traditionally called the zero profit method. So, baka may counter ka na problems na under the zero profit method. Ang sinasabi lang po under the zero profit method ay kapag yung estimation ng cost to complete ay hindi na daw ma-measure o nakalagay sa problem NA kasi hindi niya ma-estimate yung kung magkano pa yung may incur na cost in the future period. Ang sinasabi lang dyan, yung revenue mo ay i-equalize mo lang doon sa iyong cost. Ibig sabihin, wala kang profit, kaya siya zero profit method. Okay? Ibig sabihin, wala kang magiging profit doon. Kasi nga, hindi mo ma-estimate yung cost mo. So, under the conservatism principle, edi i-apply mo lang kung magkano yung cost mo, yun na lang din ang revenue mo. 'Di ba? Yun ang logic dyan. There is zero profit because the revenue recognized is equal to the cost incurred. Okay, let us take a look at this. Tingnan mo, may ang contract price 9 million, tapos binigyan ka ng contract cost per year, 20x1 hanggang 20x3. Ang estimated cost to complete, not measurable or NA yan. So, ibig sabihin, hindi niya ma-measure reliably yung cost to complete at each year end. So, ang computin mo daw yung revenue mo X1, X2, and X3. Then, provide ka daw ng journal entries in 20X1 assuming billings were 50% of the contract price and collections were 90% of the billings. So, dito muna tayo sa 1. Paano mag-compute ng revenue? Di ba ang sabi, kapag hindi mo ma-measure reliably yan, therefore, yung revenue mo, i-equalize mo doon sa yung contract cost. 2.76, 3.54. So, 0 ka gross profit for the year. Okay, tingnan natin itong item 20x3 kasi this is the end of the contract. Ito na yung end of the contract. Paano na-compute yung 2.7 million na yan? 9 million ang total contract price mo. Ang revenue mo, 2.76 20x1, 3.54. Ibawas mo. 9 million minus 2.676 minus 3.54 is 2.7 million. Minus mo yung costs incurred per year, 500,000. Therefore, ang gross profit for the year ay 2.2 million. So, ang sinasabi lang dito ay kung hindi ma-measure reliably yung items, i-equalize mo yung revenue and contract cost na yan. However, kasi end of the year na ito, hindi naman pwedeng equalize mo pa rin yan kasi end of the year na yan. Ibig sabihin, i-identify mo na yung revenue na excess dyan. 9 million, ibinawas yung revenue na recognize mo noong prior years. Okay? Gross profit is recognized only in the year of completion. Okay? Ni-recognize only on the year of completion under the zero profit method. There are various problems, especially during the review. Personally, during the review, lagi kong tinitingnan kapag zero profit yung problem, tapos ang tinatanong is the first year, pag may choice na zero, most probably yun. Most probably yun, pag zero. Normally, basahin mo yung problem, tapos nakita mo zero profit method. Tapos ang tinatanong, first year, tapos gross profit yung tinatanong. Normally yan, may choice yan na zero. And normally, yung sagot na zero ang tamang sagot. Kasi nga, ang makikita mo na yung construction ng problem leaning towards you na matandaan na kapag zero profit method tapos hindi ma-measure reliably yung cost to complete, ang tinatanong ay gross profit for the first year, ibig sabihin parang pinapa-analyze sa'yo na the revenue should be equal to the cost on the first year at kasi yung gross profit ay nire-recognize lang on the year of completion. Sana makatulong yung tip na yon. But syempre dapat mas tingnan mo yung problem pa rin. But that is a wise tip, I think. So, how do we journalize the transaction? So, tingnan mo na lang dyan. Debit contract cost, cash, 2.76. Receivable, contract liability, 4.5. This is essentially the same as the one, yung diniscuss natin kanina. Okay? So, ang trick lang dyan is this is a zero profit method. So, let us look at the onerous contract. Ano ba itong mga onerous contract? Ang onerous contract kasi, ang basic logic sa onerous contract ay kaya siya onerous, 'di ba kapag sinabing onerous ang masyadong this is burdensome. Ibig sabihin ng onerous is burdensome. Kapag ang contract ay onerous, this is burdensome, ibig sabihin the cost is greater than the benefit. Yun lang yung logic dyan. Pag onerous contract, the cost is greater than the benefit. So, anong sinasabi diyan? Kapag daw yung cost ay ng contract ay naging greater than the benefit na maa-arrive mo diyan. Anong sinasabi ng PFRS 15? As soon as a contract becomes onerous, an entity recognizes a provision for the loss it expects to incur in the contract in accordance with PAS 37 provisions, contingent liabilities, and contingent assets. So, mag-a-apply yung PAS 37 kapag ganito ang cases. So, tingnan mo lang, pahapyawan mo lang sa old standard, paano bang ginagawa? Expense immediately. So, under PFRS 15, mag-establish ka ng provision. Okay? Yung account title na provision. So, let us look at this. So, ang sabi dito, the amount of loss is determined irrespective of the entity's progress on the contract. Okay, onerous contract. So, binigyan ka ng data. 1 million fixed price contract, then may cost incurred, estimated cost to complete. So, i-analyze natin. Tingnan mo, diretso ka na agad dito sa solution. The total contract price is 1 million. The cost incurred to date, 200,000 for X1, 600,000 estimated cost to complete for X1. So, ang total niyan, 800,000. So, 1 million minus 800,000, ito yung expected profit, 200,000. For 20x2, magkano ang cost incurred? 825 tsaka 275. Ang total nun, 1.1. Remember, this is incurred to date, kaya siya 825. So, 1 million minus 1.1 is expected loss, 100,000. Therefore, kung titingnan mo dito, the cost is greater than the benefit. So, ibig sabihin, naging onerous yung contract in 20x2. So, paano ang treatment under this? So, tingnan natin. Okay. 1 million minus 800,000, 200,000 ang expected profit. Multiplied with the percentage of completion, 50,000. 25%, 50,000. So, paano na-compute yung 25%? E di yung, paano ka ba mag-compute before? 200,000 divided by 800,000. That is 25%. So, 50,000 ang iyong profit for the year in 20x1. Under 20x2, meron ka kasing expected loss, 100,000. May percentage of completion ba dyan? Wala. Kasi ang sabi, ang PFRS ay as soon as a contract becomes onerous, an entity recognizes a provision for the loss it expects to incur. So, ibig sabihin, hindi mo yan i-amortize at i-base pa sa percentage of completion but i-recognize mo na yan kaagad. 100, basta negative, 100, basta negative, i-recognize mo kaagad yan as a loss for that date. 100,000. Okay. So, itong 100,000 na to, di ba this is, the factors related to this are incurred or cumulative. Incurred to date yung mga ginamit mo dyan, yung cost incurred to date, ganon. So, ibig sabihin, 100,000 minus mo yung prior year, 50,000. Ibig sabihin, profit for the year is 150,000. Di ba? Kasi nga, yan ay cumulative. Di ba? To date kasi itong 100,000. May 50,000 ka na dati, nung 20x1, pero nag-loss ka ng 100,000 here, ibig sabihin, negative 150,000 ang yung profit for or loss for the year mo ng 20x2. Okay? Okay, so the amounts recognized, so identify mo lang, gamitin mo yung ginawa natin kanina na revenues ay i-multiply sa contract price para ma-identify mo yung revenue to date, then ibawas mo yung revenue in prior years, cost of construction, i-identify mo dyan for the year. For the year na ito, kaya 625 ito kasi 825 minus 600 minus 200,000. So 125 negative ito. Negative ang this is a gross loss. Okay? So, ang profit or loss na identify mo kanina, 50 for 20x1 and negative 150 for 20x2. So, therefore, loss on onerous contract ka dyan ng 25,000. So, ito yon, loss on onerous contract. Okay? This is an squeeze item. Squeeze item yung 25 loss on onerous contract, kaya kinumpute mo na yun kanina dito, yung profit or loss for the year, for you to squeeze the items. Billings and collections, okay. So let us look at the journal entries. These are essentially the same doon sa paano natin siya ginagawa. Doon tayo sa difference. Tingnan, eto. Yung loss on onerous contract, in-establish and then credit provision, 25,000. Okay? So, ganun po siya. I think I have to end the discussion video on here. Uh, Please continue on the next succeeding video for the reversal. Paano i-reverse yung provision na identify natin kanina. Thank you.